This is your moment right now. No more questioning, no more waiting for permission, no more shrinking to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. Your worth is not up for debate. It is not something to be bargained with or diluted for the comfort of others. Your worth is non-negotiable. Too often we live as though our value depends on the approval of people who don't even know who we really are. We adjust, we conform, we make ourselves small, hoping to be chosen, hoping to be accepted. But let me tell you something, you were already chosen. You were already created with purpose. You do not need to earn your worth. You only need to recognize it and walk in it. Somewhere along the way, you were told that your worth is tied to what you do, that your value is measured by your productivity, your success, your ability to meet the expectations of others. That if you don't perform, if you don't achieve, if you don't show up in a way that pleases people, you lose your worth. But that is a lie. Your worth is not tied to your achievements. It's not attached to how many people approve of you. It's not based on how much you give before you are allowed to receive. Your worth was established before you ever took your first breath, and nothing you do can add to it or take away from it. Yet we live our lives waiting for someone else to tell us we matter. We exhaust ourselves trying to be enough for others while we fail to see that we have been enough all along. That ends today. Some of you have been negotiating your worth for far too long. You've been selling yourself short in relationships, in careers, in friendships. You've been accepting less than what you deserve because you're afraid of what will happen if you demand more. You think that if you ask for what you're truly worth, people will walk away. And you know what? Some of them will. But let them go, because anything that requires you to shrink, anything that requires you to sacrifice your dignity, your peace, your identity, it was never meant for you. You don't have to settle. You don't have to accept mistreatment. You don't have to prove yourself to people who refuse to see your value. When you know your worth, you walk differently. You stop begging for a seat at tables that were never built for you. You create your own table. You stop running after people who don't appreciate you. You stand still and let what is meant for you come to you. If you live for their approval, you'll die by their rejection. Some of you have been exhausting yourselves trying to be enough for people who will never be satisfied. You've allowed their words, their opinions, their indifference to define how you see yourself. But the truth is, some people will never see you correctly, no matter what you do. Some people will refuse to acknowledge your value, not because you lack worth, but because they lack the ability to recognize greatness when they see it. Stop waiting for them to wake up. Stop looking for validation in places that were never meant to hold your confidence. Your validation has to come from within. When you know who you are, when you know what you bring, when you stand firm in your worth, nothing and no one can shake that. Confidence is not arrogance. Confidence is knowing that you don't have to apologize for existing. It's walking into a room with your head high, not because you think you're better than anyone, but because you finally understand that you are not beneath anyone either. Some of you have been walking around with your shoulders hunched, your voice small, afraid to take up space. But in 2025, we're done with that. You are stepping into your confidence. You are speaking up. You are moving boldly, not because you have something to prove, but because you finally believe in who you are. When you know your worth, you stop allowing just anything and anyone into your life. You set boundaries, you establish standards, not because you think you're better than people, but because you refuse to be treated less than you deserve. You are not obligated to tolerate disrespect. You are not required to explain why you expect more. If someone cannot meet the standard, that is not your problem. Your job is not to lower the bar. Your job is to protect your peace, your heart, and your purpose. Some of you are holding on to situations that are draining you. You know it's not serving you. You know it's not adding to your life, but you're afraid to let go because you don't know what's on the other side. Let me tell you, what's on the other side is better. What's on the other side is peace, is joy, it's self-respect. But you can't access it while holding on to what is breaking you. Sometimes valuing yourself means walking away. It means choosing yourself, even when it's hard. When you fully understand your worth, you become unstoppable. You stop waiting for opportunities, you create them. You stop hoping people will see you. You show up as your full self regardless of who notices. You stop doubting whether you're enough. You walk like you already know the answer. Your worth is your power. It is your foundation. It is the one thing no one can take from you unless you give it away. And today you make a decision. You will never give it away again. This is your year. No more settling, no more shrinking, no more waiting for someone to tell you that you matter. You already do. Walk in your worth. Speak with authority. Move with confidence, because your worth is not up for discussion. It is not dependent on anyone's opinion. It is not something that can be negotiated. You are worthy. You are enough, and from this moment forward, you will live like it. It's time to stop apologizing for protecting your peace. It's time to stop feeling guilty for saying no. You were not created to be everything for everyone at the expense of yourself. If you don't set boundaries, life will set them for you. And when that happens, you'll find yourself drained, depleted, and disconnected from the person you were meant to be. Boundaries are not selfish. Boundaries are necessary. They are not a wall to keep people out. They are a guardrail to protect what matters most: your heart, your mind, your purpose. If you don't establish them, people will take whatever they can from you, not always out of malice, but because you've never made it clear where your limits are. But today that changes. Some of you have been carrying guilt for simply wanting space, for needing rest, for refusing to be mistreated, for choosing yourself. You've been conditioned to believe that your worth is tied to your availability, that in order to be loved, you have to be accessible to everyone at all times. But let me tell you something, the right people will honor your boundaries, not resent them. The people who truly care about you will not be offended when you prioritize yourself. Some of you are exhausted, not because life is hard, but because you've allowed too many things to pull on you that were never meant for you. You've said yes when you should have said no. You've allowed people to place demands on you that are not yours to fulfill. You've made yourself responsible for other people's happiness at the cost of your own peace. And now you're tired. Now you're worn out. But here's the good news. You don't have to live like this. You have the power to change it. You have the power to take control of your life and establish the boundaries that will allow you to thrive. Boundaries are about clarity. They are about self-respect. They are about refusing to give energy to things that do not align with your purpose. And yes, setting them will be uncomfortable at first. Some people will not like it. Some will push back. Some will try to make you feel guilty, but you must remember, their discomfort is not your responsibility. If someone is offended because you are taking care of yourself, that is their issue, not yours. This year, you will stop explaining why you need space. You will stop justifying why you cannot show up for everyone. You will stop apologizing for protecting your energy. You will no longer let guilt keep you in places you've outgrown. You will no longer let obligation keep you in relationships that drain you. You will no longer let fear of disappointing people keep you from living in alignment with your own needs. You owe it to yourself to stop pouring into people who only take and never give. You owe it to yourself to stop being everything for everyone and start being everything for you. Because when you show up for yourself, when you prioritize your well-being, when you set clear boundaries, you don't just protect yourself, you position yourself for the life you were meant to live. Some of you need to start saying no without explaining. No, I can't do that. No, I'm not available. No, I don't have the capacity, period. Not because you're mean, not because you don't care, but because you are finally recognizing that you cannot give what you do not have. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you will no longer drain yourself to fill others. You are not required to be the one who always fixes everything. You are not responsible for managing other people's emotions. You are not obligated to be available 24/7. Your time, your energy, your peace, these are sacred. You must protect them. You must value them, because if you don't, no one else will. Some of you have been afraid to set boundaries because you fear losing people. But let me tell you, anyone who walks away because you refuse to be mistreated, overworked, or undervalued was never truly for you in the first place. Real relationships respect boundaries. Real love honors limits. The people who are meant to be in your life will not leave just because you refuse to be a doormat. So what are you afraid of? Losing people who never truly saw you, losing relationships that were only sustained by your lack of self-care, losing connections that required you to betray yourself to maintain. If letting go of those things is the price of peace, then it is a price worth paying. Boundaries are not barriers, they are invitations. They invite the right people to love you the way you deserve to be loved. They invite the right opportunities that align with your purpose. They invite the right energy into your life. They make space for what is truly meant for you, but you have to be willing to set them. You have to be willing to enforce them. You have to be willing to stand firm in them, even when it's uncomfortable. You do not need to explain why you are prioritizing your peace. You do not need to justify why you are protecting your time. You do not need to convince anyone that your boundaries are necessary. The people who love and respect you will honor them, and the ones who don't, let them go. You are stepping into a new season, a season where you will not overextend yourself to accommodate others, a season where you will not allow guilt to dictate your choices, a season where you will stand firm in your worth and refuse to settle for anything less than what you deserve. It is time to reclaim your life. It is time to stop negotiating your peace. It is time to set boundaries without guilt and walk boldly in the confidence of who you are. This is your year. Protect your space. Guard your heart. Value yourself enough to say no when you need to, because your peace is priceless and you are worth protecting. You have spent too much time waiting for the approval of others. Too much energy making sure everyone else is comfortable while ignoring your own discomfort. Too many years shrinking yourself, dimming your light, and adjusting who you are just to be accepted. But today that ends. Today you decide that self-respect matters more than external validation. Today you choose you. You were not created to fit into the mold that others designed for you. You were not placed on this earth to meet the expectations of people who do not see your worth. You were not meant to spend your days chasing acceptance from those who only love you when it's convenient for them. You have been called to more, and it starts with how you see yourself. Self-respect is not arrogance. It is not pride. It is the foundation of every decision you make about your life. When you respect yourself, you do not tolerate disrespect from others. When you respect yourself, you do not lower your standards to keep people who refuse to rise. When you respect yourself, you do not need constant affirmation from others to know your value. You walk in confidence, knowing that your worth is not up for negotiation. Some of you have allowed the opinions of others to dictate your choices. You've changed who you are just to be liked. You've said yes when your soul was screaming no. You've stayed in places you should have left, endured treatment you should have rejected, and given chances to people who never deserved them. But it stops now. You are stepping into a season where you no longer seek approval. You own your truth. There is a weight that comes with living for the applause of others. A burden that keeps you trapped in cycles of insecurity, because no matter how much approval you receive, it will never be enough. The moment you meet their expectations, they will change them. The moment you win their approval, they will raise the bar, and before you know it, you will be exhausted, empty, and lost in the pursuit of something that was never meant to sustain you. Respect yourself enough to let go of the need to be liked by everyone. Respect yourself enough to set boundaries that honor your peace. Respect yourself enough to walk away from situations that make you question your worth. Because the moment you stop looking outward for validation and start looking inward for acceptance, everything changes. Some of you have been conditioned to believe that choosing yourself is selfish, that putting your needs first makes you unkind. But let me tell you something. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give love when you are depleted. You cannot serve others when you have nothing left for yourself. Self-respect is not selfish. It is necessary. It is the key to living a life that honors who you truly are. You do not need permission to be who you were created to be. You do not need validation to live in your purpose. You do not need approval to stand in your truth. You need self-respect, because when you respect yourself, you make choices that align with your values. You speak up when something doesn't feel right. You walk away from anything that no longer serves you. You stop shrinking to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. Some of you are afraid to stand in your truth because you fear losing people. But let me tell you, anyone who requires you to abandon yourself in order to be loved is not meant for you. The right people will respect your boundaries. The right people will honor your standards. The right people will love you for who you are, not who they want you to be. This is your moment to reclaim your power, to stop living for approval and start living for purpose, to stop seeking validation and start seeking alignment, to stop bending, breaking, and compromising for people who will never see you the way you were meant to be seen. You deserve more than conditional love. You deserve more than empty validation. You deserve more than temporary acceptance. You deserve a life where you are fully seen, fully loved, and fully respected. And that starts with how you see yourself. Self-respect over external approval every single time, because the world does not get to decide your worth. You do. And when you walk in that truth, nothing and no one can shake it. Your mind is the battlefield where every victory and every defeat begins. It is the place where your greatest potential is unlocked or where your biggest limitations are reinforced. If you do not take control of your mindset, life will control it for you. If you do not guard your thoughts, negativity will take root. If you do not shape your beliefs, fear will shape them for you. The difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck is not talent, opportunity, or luck. It is mindset. It is the ability to see challenges as stepping stones, not roadblocks. It is the power to rewrite the narrative that has been playing in your mind. It is the courage to reject limiting beliefs and replace them with a truth that empowers you to walk boldly in your purpose. Some of you have allowed past failures to define your future. You have let rejection convince you that you are unworthy. You have replayed the voices of doubt so many times that they have become the loudest sound in your mind, but it stops now. You are stepping into a season where you take authority over your thoughts. You are stepping into a season where you speak life over yourself. You are stepping into a season where your mindset shifts from survival to abundance, from fear to faith, from doubt to confidence. Your thoughts dictate your actions. If you believe you are not enough, you will shrink yourself. If you believe success is for others but not for you, you will never pursue your calling with full force. If you believe your past mistakes disqualify you, you will sabotage your own growth. But when you shift your mindset, everything changes. When you believe you are capable, you show up differently. When you believe you are worthy, you make decisions that reflect that worth. When you believe you are called, you stop waiting for permission and start walking in purpose. You cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you respond. You can control whether you allow setbacks to break you or build you. You can control whether you let fear silence you or push you forward. You can control whether you let circumstances define you or whether you redefine the narrative. Taking control of your mindset is not about pretending life is easy. It is about deciding that no matter what happens, you will not be defeated. Some of you have been waiting for external validation to believe in yourself. You have been waiting for the right opportunity, the right people, the right circumstances. But the truth is, your mindset is what creates those opportunities. Your mindset is what attracts the right people. Your mindset is what shifts circumstances in your favor. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for a sign. Stop waiting for the world to tell you that you are enough. You were enough before anyone recognized it. You were enough before you had proof of it. You were enough before you believed it yourself. Now it is time to walk in that truth. Your mind will believe what you tell it. If you feed it doubt, it will believe you are incapable. If you feed it fear, it will believe you are powerless. But if you feed it faith, it will believe anything is possible. If you feed it courage, it will believe in the strength within you. If you feed it truth, it will believe in the limitless potential God placed inside of you. Be intentional about what you allow into your mind. Protect it, strengthen it, renew it daily. You are not a prisoner of your thoughts. You are not bound by past failures. You are not stuck in the patterns that have held you back. You have the power to change your mind. And when you change your mind, you change your life. Every breakthrough starts in the mind. Every transformation begins with a decision. Every victory is won first in your thoughts. So decide today that you will take control of your mindset. Decide today that you will not let fear win. Decide today that you will believe in your greatness even before you see it manifest. Because when you do, the world will have no choice but to follow the lead of a mind that is unshaken, unstoppable, and unwavering in its purpose. If you do not prioritize yourself, life will always find a way to push you to the background. If you are waiting for someone else to give you permission to take care of yourself, to put yourself first, you will be waiting forever. You must decide today that you are worth the time, the energy, and the effort it takes to become the best version of yourself. You must decide that your well-being matters just as much as the responsibilities, the commitments, and the people who demand your attention. Too often we give everything to others and leave nothing for ourselves. We pour out until we are empty, until exhaustion replaces joy, until burnout becomes normal. But you were not created to just survive. You were created to thrive, and thriving requires intentionality. It requires boundaries. It requires self-respect. It requires you to stand up and say, I am a priority. Some of you have been running on empty for far too long. You have been carrying burdens that were never meant to be yours alone. You have been taking care of everyone else while neglecting yourself. And I want you to hear me when I say this. You are not helping anyone by diminishing yourself. You are not being more loving by being less present in your own life. You are not being more responsible by denying your own needs. You cannot give your best if you are not at your best. The world will always take from you what you are willing to give. If you do not set limits, people will assume you have none. If you do not make time for yourself, others will fill your schedule for you. If you do not guard your energy, everything and everyone will drain it. This is not about selfishness. This is about self-preservation. You are no good to anyone if you are exhausted, frustrated, and running on fumes. Prioritizing yourself daily means choosing yourself every single day. It means making decisions that align with your well-being, not just your obligations. It means carving out time for rest, for reflection, for growth. It means understanding that your worth is not determined by how much you do for others, but by how well you care for yourself. Some of you have been waiting for life to slow down before you start taking care of yourself, but life does not slow down. You have to decide to pause. You have to decide to take a breath. You have to decide that you are worth more than just constantly being in motion. There will always be another task, another responsibility, another reason to put yourself last, but there will never be another you. If you do not take care of yourself now, when will you? You must learn to say no without guilt. You must learn to rest without apology. You must learn to invest in yourself the way you have invested in everyone else, because when you prioritize yourself, you show up better in every other area of your life. You are a better friend, a better partner, a better parent, a better leader, not because you are doing more, but because you are whole. Because you are healthy, because you are fulfilled. Taking care of yourself is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is the foundation for everything else in your life. Your health, your peace, your joy, your purpose, they all depend on you making yourself a priority. And it does not have to be complicated. It can start with small, intentional decisions, waking up a little earlier to have quiet time, saying no to commitments that drain you, taking a break when you need it, feeding your mind with things that uplift you instead of things that deplete you. There is power in prioritizing yourself. There is power in deciding that you deserve care, attention, and love. And that power does not come from waiting for someone else to recognize your value. It comes from within. It comes from knowing that you are worthy simply because you exist. It comes from understanding that taking care of yourself is not something you earn. It is something you deserve. So today, make yourself a priority. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when everything else settles down. Today, because you matter. Your well-being matters. Your dreams, your rest, your peace, they matter. And the moment you start believing that, the moment you start acting on that truth, everything changes. You have one life and you are responsible for how you live it. Choose to live it well. Choose to prioritize yourself daily without guilt, without apology, and without hesitation. Because when you do, you are not just taking care of yourself, you are setting the standard for how the world will treat you. And that, my friend, is the most powerful thing you can do. There comes a moment in life when you must decide who you are and what you stand for. A moment when you can no longer shrink, no longer play small, no longer pretend to be anything less than powerful. That moment is now. If you have been waiting for the right time, for the perfect opportunity, for a sign that it is your time to rise, hear me clearly. This is it. Stepping into your power is not about waiting for permission. It is about recognizing that you are already equipped, already anointed, already chosen. Everything you need to be who you were created to be is already inside of you. The problem is not that you lack power. The problem is that you have been conditioned to doubt it. You have been taught to dim your light, to second guess your intuition, to ask for approval when you should have been walking in authority. But today that changes. Today you reclaim your power. Power is not about control. It is not about dominance. True power is rooted in authenticity. It is the ability to show up as your full self, unapologetically and fearlessly. It is the courage to set boundaries, to say no when necessary, to walk away from what no longer serves you. It is the wisdom to choose growth over comfort, to embrace change rather than resist it. It is the discipline to stand firm in your values even when the world pressures you to conform. Stepping into your power requires breaking free from old mindsets that keep you bound. It requires you to unlearn the lies that have held you back, the lie that you are not enough, the lie that you are unworthy, the lie that your dreams are too big. These lies have shaped your reality for too long, but today you let them go. Today you step boldly into the truth that you are strong, you are capable, and you are more than enough. There will be resistance. When you begin to walk in your power, not everyone will celebrate. Some will question, some will doubt, some will even try to pull you back. But understand this, their fear does not define your destiny. Their insecurity does not determine your worth. You cannot allow the opinions of others to dictate how you show up in the world. You must learn to be so confident in who you are that no amount of doubt can shake you. You are not meant to play small. You are not meant to hide in the background while life passes you by. You have a purpose, a calling, a destiny that only you can fulfill. And the moment you decide to own it, the moment you decide to stop waiting and start moving, everything shifts, doors open, opportunities appear. The path that once seemed impossible suddenly becomes clear. But it all starts with you making the decision to step up and step in. This is your time to rise, your time to break free, your time to stand tall in your strength, to walk boldly in your truth, to own the fullness of who you are. No more waiting, no more hesitating, no more playing small. Step into your power and watch as everything in your life begins to align with the greatness that has always been inside of you. Your power is not in who you become. It has always been in who you are. So own it, live it, and let the world see it.